Beverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky. On a quiet hill in Kentucky stands a massive building with broken windows and long, empty halls. From a distance, it looks abandoned. But when you step inside, the silence feels heavy, as if the air remembers every breath that once struggled there. In the early 1900s, Waverly Hills was built to treat tuberculosis. At the time, there was no cure. Patients arrived hopeful. Most never left. Beds lined the halls. Coughing echoed day and night. Doctors did what they could, but many treatments were painful and often useless. Every morning, nurses walked past beds that were suddenly empty, not because patients were healed, but because they were gone. To hide the growing number of deaths, a long underground passage was built beneath the hospital. It became known as the Death Tunnel. Bodies were quietly transported through it at night so other patients wouldn't lose hope. The living never saw the dead leave. After the hospital finally closed, something remained. Visitors report hearing footsteps behind them, slow, careful, as if someone is following. Some hear coughing in empty rooms, others hear voices calling their names. One room in particular is known for strange activity. A small child spirit, often called Timmy, is said to roll a ball down the hallway. People have heard laughter. Others have felt a gentle tug on their clothes. But not all experiences are gentle. Many visitors describe sudden fear, dizziness, or sadness, emotions that appear without warning, as if the building is sharing what it once felt. The Death Tunnel is the most feared place of all. People report shadow figures standing at the far end. When approached, they disappear. Some say the tunnel feels endless, like it doesn't want you to leave. Waverly Hills is not loud. It does not jump out. It whispers because this is not a place of anger. It is a place of waiting. A place where thousands arrived hoping to live and stayed hoping to be remembered.
Gettysburg Battlefield, Pennsylvania. During the day, Gettysburg looks peaceful. Wide open fields, quiet roads, soft wind moving through the grass. But when the sun goes down, the land feels different, as if it remembers everything. In the summer of 1863, one of the bloodiest battles in American history was fought here. For 3 days, the ground shook with cannon fire. More than 50,000 soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing. The cries for help echoed across the fields, and many of those voices were never answered. When the battle ended, bodies covered the land. Some were buried where they fell. Others were never identified. The earth absorbed it all. Years later, people began reporting strange experiences. At night, visitors heard footsteps marching through the fog, gunshots echoing in the distance, the sound of drums beating slowly. But when they looked, there was nothing there. Some travelers claimed to see figures standing along the tree line. Men in old uniforms, silent, still, then gone. Photographs taken on the battlefield sometimes show shapes resembling soldiers, even when no one else was present. Tour guides tell stories of people smelling gunpowder in the air, or hearing voices calling for medics, voices filled with panic, voices that never made it home. Many say the most unsettling part isn't fear, it's sadness, an overwhelming heaviness that appears without warning, as if the land itself is grieving. Gettysburg is not haunted by rage. It is haunted by memory, a place where thousands never said goodbye, where the war may have ended, but never truly left. Because some battles don't stay in history. They stay in the ground, waiting to be remembered. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia. The building was meant to heal. That was the idea. When the asylum opened in the mid-1800s, it promised care, peace, and recovery for the mentally ill. But it was never prepared for what would come. It was designed for only a few hundred patients. Soon, thousands were forced inside. Hallways became sleeping areas. Basements became living spaces. Privacy disappeared. Hope followed soon after. Patients were separated from their families, sometimes forever. Many didn't even know why they were there. Some were sent for depression, some for grief, some simply for being different. Once admitted, leaving was rare. As conditions worsened, treatments grew cruel. Cold baths, isolation rooms, dark cells where people were locked away for days. The screams echoed through the corridors. And slowly, the building learned those sounds. When the asylum finally closed, it was abandoned in silence. But the silence didn't feel empty. Visitors today report footsteps pacing behind them, doors slamming without warning, voices whispering names in empty rooms. Some say shadow figures stand in the hallways, watching. Others experience sudden waves of fear or sadness that disappear once they step outside. As if the emotions never left, only the people did. One room is said to be especially active. People report hearing breathing close to their ears. Some feel a presence standing inches behind them. When they turn, nothing is there. The asylum doesn't feel angry. It feels crowded, as if the building still believes it's full, still waiting for patients, still holding memories it was never meant to carry. Because not all hauntings are spirits. Some are pain. And pain, when ignored long enough, learns how to stay. Bell Witch Cave, Tennessee. The land looked ordinary. Quiet fields, still trees, a small farmhouse far from the road. Nothing about it warned the Bell family of what was coming. At first, it was only sounds. Soft knocking on the walls at night, scratching beneath the floor. When they searched, there was nothing there. Then the sounds grew louder. Whispers filled the rooms, voices calling names, sometimes laughing, sometimes angry. The voice did not belong to a man or a woman, and it knew things no stranger should know. The presence began speaking directly to the family, mocking them, arguing with them. It claimed it could see everything. It claimed it would never leave. Soon the activity turned physical. People felt pushed, pulled, struck by unseen hands. Blankets were torn away while they slept. Children cried that something was standing near their beds, watching. The spirit called itself the Bell Witch. It said it had no body, no form, and its intention was cruelty. The cave near the Bell property became the center of the activity. Animals refused to go near it. Visitors reported sudden dizziness, a deep pressure in the chest, as if the air itself didn't want them there. Even after the Bell family left the land, the presence remained. Locals avoided the cave after sunset. Some who entered reported hearing their names whispered from the darkness. Others felt something brush past them, fast and cold. To this day, people say the cave is not empty. It does not chase. It does not reveal itself. It waits, listening, because some spirits don't haunt buildings. They haunt land, and land never forgets who suffered upon it. The Sally House, Kansas. The house looks small, quiet, almost harmless. A simple home on a peaceful street in Kansas. Nothing about it prepares you for what happens inside. Years ago, a young couple moved into the house hoping to start a normal life. At first, everything felt fine. until the noises began. Soft footsteps at night, doors opening slowly, the sound of a child crying in empty rooms. They assumed the house was settling. They were wrong. The couple soon began hearing a little girl's voice. She called herself Sally. Sometimes she laughed, sometimes she cried. At first, the presence felt gentle, almost sad. Toys moved on their own. Small handprints appeared. The couple believed it was the spirit of a child who once lived there. Then everything changed. The atmosphere shifted without warning. The air felt heavy, angry. The house no longer felt welcoming. The man began waking up with strange marks on his body, long scratches appearing overnight.
Objects were thrown across rooms. Dark shapes were seen standing in corners, watching silently.
The voice that once sounded like a child no longer did. Rooms grew colder, lights flickered constantly. The feeling of being watched never stopped. Visitors refused to stay inside for long. Some felt sudden panic, others felt rage that wasn't their own. Investigators later believed something darker had been pretending to be a child, using innocence to gain trust, feeding on fear. The couple eventually left the house, not because they wanted to, but because staying felt dangerous. They said the house didn't want them to go. Even today, visitors report hearing footsteps, seeing shadows, feeling sudden anger or dread the moment they step inside. Some say the house feels alive, as if it's aware of who enters and why. The Sally house doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It waits, because the most terrifying places aren't the ones that frighten you immediately.
They're the ones that make you feel safe first, and then slowly remind you that you never were.